to entice the children to like reading.
Right.
And so anytime we move into
And does it work?
It works. It works. You know, it has worked and it works and it's going to work. You know, because all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy.
Right.
And of course, and so if you have to use what excites the children to encourage them to do something, it works. Because of course, under normal circumstances, and the child who does not really understand the relevance of reading would not want to walk into the library. And I've been telling most of my library managers that the new concept of library is not about sitting and waiting for people to come.
Right.
You have to pull them, because almost every sector of the world is pulling people. And the games are pulling the children, football is pulling the children. So you don't just have to sit and expect them to come. You have to create excitement, you have to create activity to pull them. And so, of course, moving in there, we have a session where we give the children the opportunity to do some reading. We have a conversation. Of course, those who are able to do better with the reading, then we have to select them into team. They play the basketball for about 10 minutes. We see which one wins, and we come back. So that's what we call the diggy, read, and dunk. And in this time, of course, not really about the physical book, but of course on the tablet.
Right.
So you read. That's why it's diggy, read, and then after that we have the dunk, the basketball session.
Let's move a step backwards on the selection of the communities to be involved in this. Would you say you selected these inner city communities specifically because they have community libraries, or any other community at all could have been selected?
Now, like I mentioned, our focus is on the community libraries.
Right.
So once it is on the community libraries, of course, you have to look out for the community libraries that are well-to-do, that are doing well.
Right.
No, it is when we have been successful with them, then we can move to initiate new community libraries where they do not have. And this is not a kind of a small job. It's not like we are dealing with schools and just write a letter to the head of schools and say we want your children. The concept of the Ghana Read is to use the second agent of socialization. That's
right.
peers.
Right.
You want to use peers. So regardless of which school you go, we feel that your school, if you're in a better school, you should be able to cause impact on the other one
right.
who is not in the well-to-do school. So we want to use peers. And the very place we can meet them will be the community libraries.
Right.
And we believe that we encourage the community libraries to serve as a school to engage the children. Right. So that anytime we want to have any engagement, it will be easier to use them to get the children.
And then on that note, I would want to find out what some of the challenges has been ever since this.
Well, the challenges have been, and not just even with Ghana Read, we do not get supporters. We do not get sponsors for literary things. And ironically, we see almost everyone craving that we have a reading nation. Sometimes even the publishers. On this note, I want to salute Abjinsan Publications Ghana. Abjinsan has been very supportive in most of these things, and supporting any other activity, not just this, any aspect of Ghana Read, they have been on board. And then you reach out to publishers who would be the immediate beneficiary of reading, having a reading nation. And it's very difficult. It's not working. I know sometimes you even have to move to institutions to come in to support, even many institutions and almost all of that. It becomes a bit of a problem. This has got to do with funding. There are a lot of people who keep asking, but are you not making money? But the truth of the issue is that with little support maybe from the Abjinsan and a few ones that come on board, the monies I get from my performance and stuff are the things I put in there. But that's why I call it a social responsibility.
Right.
I do not, as an author, a playwright and a poet, I do not have to sit back and say people don't like reading. The question is, what are you doing to encourage people to like reading? So the problem, of course, financially, of course, in terms of supporting, that has been a major problem. But then, hey, you're not supposed to give up.
This is what you would want to do. I would want you to run by us what the program lineup will be for this session.
So we are very privileged to have the first deputy. In the past times, one good thing about the Ghana Read so far, and the very good things we can boast of is we have had a lot of personality, high-profile personalities who are always running to be part of it. And we have to salute the outgoing AMA boss, Honorable Ajesowa. There was a time he gave us the whole of the Accra Metropolitan Assembly to be used for the second edition, and
for free,
and he connected with Ian Nancy and all of that. So I salute him for his love for the literary landscape, not just that one. And so we are very privileged this time to have the first Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Honorable Joe. He's going to be the special guest of honor, and he's going to read aloud with some of the children.
That's interesting.
And then we have the country representatives for Ghana UNESCO, Mr. Diallo Abdul Rahman, who is the chairperson, and we have the Secretary General of Pan-African Writers Association, Dr. Wale Okediran, who is going to be the guest speaker at the event. And then running you through this session,
Right.
you know, one of the most important parts of this session is a read with the Minister for Sanitation. And one thing we do with Ghana Race is we select a book of focus, and a book of focus should be a book published in Ghana,
right,
and written by a Ghanaian, because we believe that if you want to encourage reading, of course, much as it's good to read other books from other parts of the world, you know, when a child is not able to relate with the story, maybe a child is reading and coming across Mount Everest with snow, and is not unable to relate with it, it discourages.
Yeah.
Well, so we have to start with books that are well published from Ghana. So we are using Nino, the sanitation officer, which has got a lot to do with the inner cities and the zones.
Right.
And then we have the Minister for Sanitation come to read this book with the children.
Right.
And then we are fortunate to have Oswald, the Awade boy, joining her to do the reading.
Oh, the ever popular.
Yes, my namesake.
Oswald.
Yes, going to join her to do the reading. And then we have the Digi Week media personalities. We have the like of Alfredo Kansi from TV3.
Right.
We have Valerie from GBC. We have Kukia Snitch from ATV. We have Apioko from City TV and other people going to do the Digi read with the children. Right. Of course, the very people you see on TV reading and then encouraging you to read. And then we have the Digi Write with AA Reading Club with Efia Frakoma. There's an app which encourages children to do writing. So she's going to take them through that. We have Bawa Kanini with Neo Tukono. We're going to read Adotential Nkome as part of the thing. We have reading clinics. We have so many sessions.
Bawa Kanini, in effect, come and let us read.
Come, let's read. Okay. You know, of course, we cannot be doing reading in Ghana without having a reading session in the Ghanaian languages.
Right.
So there's that part of it in there. And then we have the app girl read and converse with Ketado. Ketado is the director of the Public Relations of Parliament.
Yeah.
And then she is into the App Girl project. And so we have selected a book, Girl on Fire by Ruby Goka. Right. And she's going to read and have conversation. And then we have the read aloud. We have the blast the balloon and read. So we have the balloon, you burst it. There is a number in there. Whichever number you pick, it means you have to read that number of sentences in the book given to you. And then
you wouldn't select the book yourself.
No. There is a book we have, and you just pick. We want to create an understanding of what the sentence is. Of course, if you don't know what the sentence is, if you ask to read 3 sentences, how do you read the 3 sentences? And prior to that, we take them through what a sentence is. And then there is a part we use for read a paragraph, first, second, third paragraph. So we should have taken them through what a paragraph is. So more of reading clinic there. And then we have one most important thing with the children like most, read to play. We have esports that come to set up a video game. And then we have some reading materials. So you read for 10 minutes, you play video games for 5 minutes and come back in that routine. Yes.
Right. Tell me about the play reading.
Well, the play reading, the dramatic reading, anytime we tend to fight for the revolution and the literary revolution, we tend to forget about play. People feel that he always has to be in a form of drama. So we are going to have a dramatic reading of plays. We have the characters seated, and then we have the play. So they read the respective voices, and we have someone who reads the stage directions and all of that. So of course, putting into pictures, so like just for them to understand how you can read a play. So anytime we talk about reading, it's not just prose. You have to read poetry. You have to read plays as well.
Right. And also read a poem aloud.
Read a poem aloud, of course, like I mentioned. So we're going to have some poems around, and then spontaneously you just come and then more like an open mic.
Right.
You pick and then you read a poem. And then we ask you questions about it. Who wrote the poem? Because you can't just read a poem without knowing who wrote it. And those who do not know, it becomes an opportunity for them to know.
When is all of these happening?
So tomorrow, and that's one interesting thing. Every first Wednesday in October is World Reading Day.
Right.
Every first Wednesday, and this is not popular in our part of the world. So what we really do with Ghana Rate is we start, so tomorrow we're going to end the 2021 session and begin the 2021-2022. So we're going to end what we started last year, and that is the last World Reading Day, and then begin a new session. And not to say we are going to end it tomorrow. It's rather going to be a beginning because we have different reading sessions throughout the year. So it's going to be tomorrow, 6th October, and it's going to be at the Center for National Culture, and where we know Art Center. Now we chose Art Center because a lot of people feel when mention Art Center, it is the market. The Art Center is just next to the Kwame Nkrumah Mausoleum. And the art center, when you go to the market, that is not the art center. The art
Right.
center has a theater. It has art gallery.
Right.
And so tomorrow we're going to put all into perspective. You're going to put all of that into use. So tomorrow we encourage everyone to come to the art center, not the market. When you enter the main premises, the art center, proper, is on your right.
Right.
It has an
After
auditorium.
the Kwame Nkrumah Museum.
Just after the Kwame Nkrumah Mausoleum, you enter through the main gate. Just go to your right. We have the art gallery. We have the theater department, open air, and the main auditorium, and other special spaces we are going to use.
Right.
So it is not the left. The left is the market, and that is just an annex to the art center.
Right, and it's happening for free.
It's free, and then we are going to give some free, of course, the snacks and stuff. Of course, to excite people to always want to read.
Right, but you never told us about the UNSDG Children's Literature Book Club conversation.
Okay, yeah. So that is, well, there are quite a number, like I mentioned, there are quite a number which I've not been able to mention of it, and we have the UN. There are certain books that have been put together to meet the UN SDG, and then the Pan African Writers Association Secretary General is going to deal with the children, of course, to let them understand the club. Of course, there are so many reading clubs they need to join, and then be part of their activities, and that will be taken by Dr. Waloke Duran after his guest speech.
Right, and the UNESCO conversation.
So, there is a history about Africa. They say until the lion learns to tell a story, the hunter will always be the hero. And so UN and the UNESCO commissioned some people to put up the true history of Africa, which is quite different from what we are always told. And so there's going to be a conversation by Mr. Diallo tomorrow with the children. Let them know what the book is about and how to access the book.
Right. The Ghana Reads literary conversation.
Yes, there are so many. We are going to have a conversation about certain works and the legends and what is going to do. We always select that part to have that conversation, and then we take advantage to even let the children understand why it is necessary to read. So I think it's going to accumulate into Ghana Read.
Right.
So all of that is meant to make the children understand why they need to read. That much as you want to patronize telenovelas, films, and all of that, it's same. Maybe in the films and telenovelas, the TV can decide that, okay, we are stopping here, we continue next week. But with a book, there's a story in there. It is your decision. When you decide to have an advert, you have. When you want to sleep, you sleep. When you want to finish, you finish. So just as you want to create that affinity for watching telenovelas, you have to create that affinity for reading your books.
And is there any age group for this?
No, we are starting from primary to tertiary, and we have different sessions that will meet the respective age target.
Right. How has the sponsorship been so far for the 4th edition?
It's not been easy, like I mentioned. Of course, it's been standard. It's on standby, and then World Reader, supporting the Digi Read Storm and the community library and all of that. Like I keep mentioning, and almost everyone is saying COVID. But COVID or no COVID, sponsorship or no sponsorship, reading must be a culture. We have to debunk that assertion that to hide something from a black man, put in a book. The very more we keep saying this, and the new generation and then new Africans keep hearing that, they accept it. So we have to stop it, and it is our collective responsibility. And tell you, Accra has been selected as UNESCO Book of Capital, capital of book, or book capital, in 2023. So that means we are doing something right in Accra.
Right.
And every year, UNESCO decides to let a particular city celebrate the World Book Day. And I think 2023, we have been able to win the bid. So we need to work hard, regardless of whatever the ambience or the environment is.
As Ghana joins the rest of the world to celebrate or mark World Teachers Day, I don't know if you would have a word or two to say about this.
Yes, we always we want to use reading. Of course, we can choose to be teachers of ourselves, And once you begin to read, you teach yourself. We want to salute teachers and those who are able to make us be able to at least know the letters of the alphabet, A, B, C, D, the SOSO, G, O, Go, let alone for us to be able to know to put them together to read. So on this day, of course, Ghana Reads, I want to salute them, and we want to thank them very much for playing that critical role, being pivotal in making Ghana a reading nation.
Right, and I think time is fast spent already, and I don't know if you would want to leave a word or two with Ghanaians and in anticipation of what to expect for this particular edition of the Ghana
So we
Race.
want to tell them that it is not going to be that boring thing they know about reading. Of course, we have space to make children understand, or whoever is going to come around, to know how to go about to get your reading exciting to yourself. A lot
Right.
of people do not really know how to go about reading. That's why it's boring. It's just like watching a movie in a language you do not understand. You
Right.
get me? So tomorrow they come around. It's not going to be classroom work. It's
Right.
going to be fun. Creating excitement and fun around reading.
Thank you so much for your time this morning. We do really appreciate. I don't know if you would want to leave us with another point.
Okay. If you ever come across those
Right.
who gather against my existence, tell them I died before my birth. I was born soon after my death. Tell them I am Shoyinka, the returnees surrounded by the spirits of sorcerers. And if they ask why your sibling spirits died of bee stings, tell them you met me in Kofi and you do the cluster of bees. Save their tears and fears. If they ever thought I died with a vision of yesteryears, tell them I am Okibo, the reincarnated priest of Idoto. Tell them I am Ata, the goddess twin. I am Achibe, another watch of the gods. Tell them I am Atukwe, idealistic, fearless, intuitive. Tell them I am Lade Wasunu, the bridge between the arts and the sciences. Tell them I am Clark, ever learning, ever knowing, ever writing. And I am Minchali, the messenger with accurate expression of situation. If you ever come across those who gather to sing my dirge from daybreak to sunset, tell them I am Ngogi Wationgo, the laureate from the Eastern Corridor of Africa. Tell them I am Leonardo Senghor, the descendant of the gods. If you ever come across those who gather against my existence, tell them I am made of many parts. I am made to live beyond the times. Tell them I am African literature.
Right, and if you come across those who gather against my existence, tell them I am made of many parts. And thanks so much for your time this morning. We do really appreciate Oswald Ukante is a poet and an ambassador for Ghana Race. Please do make a date with them tomorrow, God willing. And I'm hopeful of joining also at the art center here in Accra just after the Kwame Nkrumah Museum, and we would all learn together. I need to learn. You also need to learn. Of course, reading strengthens our brain muscles, and it's very necessary we pay attention to that. And that's how we wrap up for this segment of the Ghana Breakfast Show. I is equal to political baby faces, my name. But if you are in Accra and Kumasi, or you are a tenant in any home at all, the 2 years rent advance, the 6 months rent advance, and the likes, it's a huge problem to you. You do not know what to do. Well, you would have to stick and stay for the next conversation, because Lady Julia will be delving into all of that with her guests shortly. Please stay with us.
CB will make up now. I'm not correct. Why your best mancasa? That's it. You want anyone? Oh, middle. You captures back one for CB men capsules. You see, CB men capsules in America.
Yeah, you see men and women's capsules now. You knew the dada. And one year packaging I had a pepper.
Wow! What a packaging! CB men, any CB women capsules, no packaging is out. And you also no mood any biansan wako dog and peggy.
Share a painful, any about town man quadrano for any quadrano you and come home.
Susanna, Ghana man, man, Tamasi.
Dodo Afre 0247 111671 and 0246 578-750. FDA aje edwedin kato yato.
Hello everyone, my name is Amalindate, a proud ambassador for Sonotech's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. It's hashtag Pinktober, hashtag Sonotech Goes Pink. Now from the 1st October to the 31st October 2021, at any of the 3 branches of Sonotech, Tema, Osu and West Hills Malls, we are gathering together to get free screening. Yes, I said it's free. And that's not all we have for you. We also have 20% off mammogram testing and 50% off ultrasound. Let's go pink from October the 1st to the 31st, 2021 at Osu, Tema, and West Hills Mall, all Sonotech branches. We are giving hope to save a life. See you there.
Water. But you're not getting your mouth. And then so I'm order. The rag you are fired.
Malaria nti abayi waye juma bono.
What you have to keep it.
Malaria therefore ya o. Enti awo ahire ne customers ni. Wahu ne se maami aye smart. Abe CB Malakio. Amma ne ba ya odi ko school. She se aduane si berry market echi ani malaria nti a ontimi ni.
And now Emma will be around to walk. So we have malaria test. Maybe one. And better and the CB Malakio. You do not and now kick out a son so I CB Malakio. And no way so dear. And I don't grow. And yet that shit.
A drawing near my appeal for about a woman for any quada won't in fear.
Susiana. Well, how would you win?
FD Ashosha sa a jedi and crato you mu aja to Musa and
Hello, my name is Nane Ikekufu of Cling Event Ghana. October is here again and it's the Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Guess what? Cling is excited to partner with Sonotech this year to offer free breast screening during the month of October, from 1st October to the 31st of October. Yes, free breast screening. Did you know in 2020, there were 2.3 million women diagnosed with breast cancer, and out of that, 685,000 died? Breast cancer treatment can be highly effective, especially when detected early. So you must go and check. I will be there, and so should you. Sonotech, your total healthcare partner for life.
Announcements on Adoatv. Contact Adoatv for your general announcements, proclamations and publications, job vacancies, etc. at a very affordable rate. Call 050-92-57754, 020-9494-258, or visit our marketing desk at Stepwork premises. Adoatv, bringing good things to life.
Hello, this is Dr. Josephine Nsafo from the Breast Unit Kolebu Teaching Hospital. This year also we are partnering with Sonotech Medical and Diagnostic Center. October is here again. Breast Cancer Awareness Month 2021. The message hasn't changed. Early detection and effective treatment save lives. I hope you've been doing your monthly breast self-examination throughout the year. So I'm just here to remind you that it's time to get your annual breast screening done. And for women 40 years and above, you need to do your mammogram. Breast scans are also very useful for women of all ages. And Sonotech is giving up to 50% discount this year at their Osu, West Hills, and Tema branches. Every year, the breast unit sees about 400 new cases of breast cancer, including a few men, in addition to those already living with the disease. Unfortunately, almost 70% of these are already advanced. This is because people do not come early, and a lot are trying natural, herbal, and alternative remedies which do not work. So we have a lot of unnecessary deaths. But for those who do come early with effective treatments, they have been cured. And I'm happy to say that we have a lot of breast cancer survivors with us. So remember to look for changes in your breast, a lump in your breast or your armpits, and a dimple, a rash, a sore, nipple discharge, especially when it's bloody. And remember that when breast cancer starts, it's usually not painful. Early detection is key. And with effective treatment, should you be diagnosed with breast cancer, your life will be saved. Stay safe.
Well, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, and thank you for staying on. Yes, Adoatv, where we bring good things to life. We promise you the best. We'll always bring you the best. We'll bring you good things. And I mentioned earlier about rent, that we're going to have some discussions concerning your rent, and I asked you to stay tuned. Well, this is the time, this is the moment. I'm going to talk about rent with one honorable gentleman here in the studio with me. We're going to expatiate on what goodwill fee is. Maybe you've heard of it, maybe you've been charged it. And we also want to delve into security deposits and also grace period. So 3 major things about tenancy or rent. That's what we're going to do right here. And I couldn't have gotten anybody more qualified than the head of public relations department for rent control. That's for the rent control department of the Ministry of Housing. So he's here, Honorable Mr. Emmanuel Hove Posu. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you, madam.
Good morning to you.
Good morning, and good morning to your cherished viewers as well.
I'm sure they are responding there.
Yes.
How has October been for you so far?
We just started. Started. So far, you just have to thank God if you are ushered into a new day. So as we've been ushered into a new month, we just have to thank God that He will seal us through and the rest of the months for the end of the year.
We thank God for that. Are there any new things coming up or things we should be looking for from the rent control department?
Yeah, we are expecting a lot of things. First of all, we are expecting that the act that we are using should be amended. We are also expecting that the promise that the government made with regards to the National Rental Assistance Scheme, which discussions are ongoing, will come quickly so that Ghanaians will start enjoying Okay. We are also expecting that the entire department of the rent control department will be digitalized. So that we can, even this interview, I can be in my office. You just call me on Zoom, or any other platform, then we can have some discussion. So a lot of things are happening, a lot of things are being expected.
All right. So usually rent, the issue of rent, it's a rather creepy one. When you hear people's challenges with rent, issues they have with rent, the stories, the questions, yes, the challenges that people have with rent, I know that it sends shivers down the spine of anybody who is now going out there to rent, especially in Accra, Greater Accra region, and Kumasi being known as the populous, the most populous. And when you compare, I was trying to do a little analysis on the population and analysis that was made, even though we know it's just it's not concrete. It's not a concrete one. I was looking at the number of people right now estimated at 30.8 million. And then I was looking at the structures that we have. Yes, it's saying that over 10 million, that is 10,661,421 structures were counted during the listing. And I'm looking at the number of people we have, 30.8 million compared to the 10,600. And even these structures, some are not very good structures. Amongst these, we are told that there are just 8,547,000, etc., that are fully completed. That is with roof, with windows, with every amenity or facility that a good, proper house should have. So that explains why there is a deficit in rent, in housing. There is a deficit, and this deficit, unfortunately, puts the supply part, the landlords in charge. It gives them more power than they are supposed to have, because where a lot of people are chasing after what is few, the one who has it gets the monopoly, and he decides what to do. And that is what I know gave rise to the rent law that we have there. Can we say that the law, as we have it, has helped? Has it helped, or is it still power in the hands of the landlords up to now?
Okay, so as the law is there, no landlord has the power. The fact that we have housing deficit does not give any landlords the power to manipulate the system.
And let me say, landlords, you really have to hear this.
Yes, to determine whatever they want to do with the housing sector. If you have your own structure and you build it yourself with the cost of materials that you've put in, and you want to dwell in personally, no law is infringed on you. But when it comes to mind that, no, I want to get money out of this, then there are laws, there are rules and regulations that you must follow. So I disabuse the mind of landlords that because there is housing deficit, they have the power. If the law catch up on you, you cannot go and defend yourself that there is housing deficit. You have to infringe on the law. So they have to abide by the rules and regulations of in the market.
Okay. Yeah. And what about the tenants? Is there any I think that as a tenant, if I'm going right now, if I'm supposed to go out to look for a place, are there certain things I have to look out for? Certain things that protect me, so that if I see this, then it should be like a marker, a no, don't go in for this. So as a tenant, what would be? Yeah.
So in the first place, if you are looking for an accommodation, you have two means or two ways. First, you can contract or get in touch with an agent who has knowledge about the vacant premises around its vicinity. Then they can lead you to where the vacant premises is. Or equally, you can come to the rent control department near to where you want the accommodation. We have a database of vacant premise register. And we have a register of those prospective tenants. So when you come in and the structure, the type you are looking for, it's not in our database. We keep your records so that any time such premises or type comes into our system, we call on you and then we ask the landlord and then yourself to go and document your process. So when a land or a room has been shown to you, the first thing you have to do is to do diligence in looking at the environment that you are coming to stay. See whether if it rains, the place will be getting flooded, whether there's earthquake. Even the person who is calling him or herself, the landlord or a landlady, is the rightful owner and not a caretaker. You need to do all this due diligence before you show your interest in the place. And when you show your interest, the landlord is supposed to give you what we call a tenancy agreement. So it's your right to demand that tenancy agreement, because that will stipulate your rights and responsibilities. That will identify how much you are to pay per month. That will identify the frequency of payment, whether you are to pay monthly or you are to pay 6 months blocks. Okay. You need to demand this tenancy agreement for you to know the condition of the contract you are coming to. Don't rush. Don't be so desperate that you find an accommodation. So you, without any words from the landlord, you just depart your money. Money is very hard to come by this time. So when you are going to pay money, you have to do this. So the first thing is to demand the tenancy agreement. Because that tenancy agreement, just as I said, will state the rent. And without the assessment, no landlord can draft any tenancy agreement, because it's a basic ingredient in the tenancy agreement. So when the landlord has stated the rent, which means the landlord has applied for the assessment, of which an assessment certificate has been given to him. Apart from the tenancy agreement, you go in and then you pay money. When you pay money, insist that you get a receipt. Because that receipt will identify, will be an evidence that you've paid your rent. Okay. After the receipt, within 7 days after you sign the tenancy agreement, the landlord is supposed to give you what we call the rent card. Okay. That rent card. After the payment, after 7 days after.
7 days.
Yes, after the payment of your rent advance, the landlord is supposed to give you this.
Okay.
This rent card has your details, has the details of the landlord. Okay. And the inner part shows your monthly payment. And it comes into two. So the landlord will keep one and you also will keep one. Exactly information in both. So that if there's any alteration in one, that alteration must happen in the other one as well. So you have to insist on this. You insist on your tenancy agreement. You insist on your receipt. You insist on this rent card. And the last thing is that after the tenant has paid the rent advance, the landlord is supposed to go to Ghana Revenue Authority to pay what you call the rent tax. So any rent advance you take, there's a tax that has been imposed on it. And this can be found under section 115 of the Income Tax Act. Okay. Every landlord is demanded to pay the rent tax to the through the Ghana Revenue Authority. And it's 8% if it's a domestic or residential premises. Non-residential, which is commercial, you are supposed to pay 15%. So landlord should abide by this. So these are basic things that tenants should demand and make sure they get it before they occupy the premises, because this will aid any dispute if you want to resolve it. But these are evidence that you've really come in contract with the landlord. So these are basic things.
I would like to highlight on those points again for tenants, because even this pink card you are showing, I've never seen it.
It's not a pink sheet, it's a rent card.
It's a rent card. A rent card. I've not seen this before. I don't know if all tenants have actually seen this, but this gives some kind of confidence also to any tenant. I think it gives confidence to any tenant. So the first thing to look out for, demand tenancy agreement. Demand for tenancy agreement. If you've not seen it, don't pay anything. Don't be too desperate to pay. Don't be too desperate to pay, so that he will tell you, okay, you pay so that by next week I'll get it for you. No, see the agreement before you pay for anything. And when you pay for anything, insist on receipts. That thing is very, very crucial. Insisting on receipts for anything you pay. Insist, but don't go to the market woman buying tomatoes and insist on receipts. Then after payment, he says 7 days. 7 days. In 7 days, you have to receive this rent card. It's pink. Is it pink throughout?
Yeah, it's pink throughout.
Pink throughout. Okay. So insist on your rent card, and then make sure. How do tenants make sure that the landlord has paid the rent tax?
Okay. So that rent tax is a withholding tax.
Okay.
meaning that before you pay the money, the rent advance to the landlord, you have to withhold the percentage, go to Ghana Revenue Authority, go and pay, and then add the receipt to the rest of the rent advance, and then give it to the landlord. In case you don't have time, that's when you can give all the money to the landlord, and then the landlord is supposed to go and pay. Because at the end of the day, when the Commissioner General of Ghana Revenue Authority comes to your premises, it's not going to attack the tenant. It's going to attack the landlord, that the rent advance you took, where is the receipt of your rent tax? So it dawns on the responsibility as a responsible landlord to make sure you go to the Ghana Revenue Authority to pay the rent tax.
This also tells us, I know that landlords are listening. So the landlord is not supposed to say, this is my fee, and then I'm collecting this also for rent tax.
No, it's not separate from the rent advance that you pay. That's why we are insisting on the assessment. Because we factor in all the rates you pay. Okay, property rate, this tax, any rate, even the toilet fee. Okay, is factored into the rent. So that when the tenant pays the rent, it's already factored in. Apart from electricity and water, which varies every month, the toilet fee, we look at the volume of when we are coming to dislodge it. Take a month, a year's rate, and then divide it into monthly, and then add it to the rent. So that when the tenant pays the rent, all these things are factored in. So it's not a separate tax. That after taking your rent advance, then you calculate another tax and impose it on the tenant.
Okay. So where an agent is who you contracted, is the agent then in charge of all these things? Is the agent supposed to make sure that there is a tenancy agreement? Is the agent responsible for like the receipts and all that?
No,
what's the role?
Agents are not apartment or hostess managers.
Okay.
Theirs is to identify a vacant premises, advertise it, and then go and show a prospective tenant the place. It's the duty of the landlord, to make sure all these basic things are provided.
Yes. All right. Then what about the agents and their charges?
Okay. So agents and their charges, they are doing this goro job businesses. Okay. And we've identified all those things. It's an offense. Okay, it's an offense for the activities they are doing now, because when you look at section 25, which talks about the offenses, under section 25 subsection 1, C, it states every person in respect of any premises, being or acting as an agent or broker, or go between demand or receiving for its services in connection with the procuring of any grant, renewal, continuance, or assignment of a tenancy, any condition which exceeds 5% of the recoverable rent for a year, commits an offense. And it continues that after you've committed that, you shall be guilty of an offense if you go about collecting more than the 5%, and shall, upon conviction by a rent magistrate, be liable to a fine not exceeding 200 penalty units, or to imprisonment for not exceeding 6 months, or both.
Wow.
So what this means is that you go and show somebody a vacant premises. The landlord has contracted you, because he will tell you that I have vacant premises here. So it's not the duty of the tenant or the prospective tenant that you are contracting the tenant, or the tenant is contracting, because you have made your advert. I've seen your advert, I've seen your number, I've called you. I've not contracted you. It's the person who told you that I have vacant premises. Go and look for somebody to come and occupy. It's the person who has contracted you. So if I go in and I do all my due diligence, and I like the place, and I pay my rent advance, it's the duty of the landlord to take 5% of that rent advance that I've paid and give it to the agent. But you don't have the right as an agent to take 10%. That's the minimum sometimes. And then also go to the landlord and take another 10%. And they have something called moving fee, which are all conditions they've attached to their businesses. And then at the section 25 again, it said the law says that being an agent, a landlord, don't attach any condition to the services. So if you've attached all those 10% moving fees and this, you are committing illegality. We've identified this. So now a new act has come into fruition, which is called the Real Estate Agency Act.
Okay.
Okay, Real Estate Agency Act, Act 1047, is going to regulate fully all those who call themselves agents and brokers. What is going to happen, or what is happening now, is the government is trying to constitute a governing council. That governing council will come out with modalities. They will be made to apply for their services. So if you want to call yourself an agent, you will apply for it. After the application, you go through some education.
That's right.
After the education, you will be examined. After the examination, you will be licensed and then given a license. And the law demands, the new act demands that if you are playing those businesses, you have to display your certificate in your offices. So when you do that, and you go about collecting unapproved fees,
It can be identified.
you can be identified, your certificate will be withdrawn, your license will be withdrawn.
Yeah.
So they should sit up and they should get ready. When the governing council has been constituted, the opportunity will be given to those who call themselves agents and brokers to apply. We understand our educational level, so it's going to be on that. If you apply, we look at your educational level. We know the path we are going to take to educate you, and then examine you, and then license you, and then publish your name, so that anybody who wants to deal with any accredited person will go through the list and identify who accredited agent or broker is.
Nice one.
Yes.
Nice one.
Yes.
I'm really happy to hear that. So we've settled with this. What things I need to look out for before I get yes, an apartment or I rent a place. Now we hear of the goodwill fee. Please, can you delve into the goodwill fee for us?
So basically, goodwill, let me use Adoa as an example. You see how you've established yourself?
Yes.
You've gotten name for yourself. And probably, I'm now worthy. I want to buy the company. Because you've established yourself, the quality of staff you've recruited already, I want to purchase your business together with all your equipment, your staff and this thing. So that is the goodwill I have to pay. Because if I buy the company and now I have to recruit new people, it's going to be a tedious thing. So that is what I'm paying. Okay, that is the goodwill, because you made your name already. The goodwill, that's what I'm paying. Compared to a store that I'm coming to sell provisions. Now you want to take me 50 years money aside before the rent. What name have you made for yourself? Because probably you were selling graphic. Now I'm coming to sell tomatoes. It's a different ball game altogether.
Yes.
Okay, so this is what people don't understand, and then because a lot of people are doing it, I also want to do it. So goodwill, when you look at section 25 again, it talks about condition that people attach to their apartment. Okay, so that's what under section 25 which talks about offenses. Subsection 1D and B. It reads, any person who respect of any premises demand or receive any condition, okay, whether in money or in kind or any other manner whatsoever, or whether by way of rent, fine, premium or otherwise, for the grant, renewal, continuancy or assignment of any tenancy, commits an offense. So if you are using this goodwill as a condition, if the person comes or the prospective tenant comes, if you don't pay this goodwill, I'm not giving you my premises, the law says that it's an offense. So we should understand what goodwill is. It's not just small stores. It should be a company that has made a name already. Okay, if I come in and I want to change these premises into another thing else, I don't need to pay a goodwill, because I don't need your staff, I don't need your equipment. Okay, I'm coming with a new set, so I don't need to pay. But if I'm coming to continue the business you are doing, because you've made the name already, that's where I will pay goodwill. So this is something people must understand, especially those along our markets.
Yes.
These are where we are having the problem. So we are cautioning them. We've given everybody, landlords, hostel managers, apartment managers, and owners. Up to 31st of December, we are coming out with a massive prosecutions before the magistrate. We understand the system is choked, but those illegality must stop so that we all live in harmony. Everybody is suffering. So you cannot use your premises to induce somebody.
Yes,
You cannot use your premises to I don't know what to use.
Yeah. So come 31st December this year, this very year. Okay. Okay. I'm happy about what I'm hearing today. So let's move from goodwill. Let's go to security deficits.
Okay. So in that aspect, it's a good idea, but the law has not permitted it yet. What is the security deposit? This is a deposit that landlord demands. Also, it's a condition that if you don't pay it, I will give you my premises. The law for now forbids any condition that is attached to the premises. And just as I'm saying, it's a deposit that landlord demands. That when you come into your premises and we sign agreement for a year or two, but the payment is going to be a block of 6 months, you deposit that money so that when you are going and you've not damaged anything or you are not owing me, then I'll give you your money.
Refund,
But there are processes involved. Outside world, there are processes involved. When you take that money, you deposit it in an escrow account. So that when I'm moving out, which is my responsibility, that the premises I'm dwelling in, I have to make sure how I came to meet it is the same. And I fulfill all those things. And I'm going. You are supposed to give me interest on the money that I gave you. That's what is happening outside. But people take this money, and when you are moving out, they find some fault and then keep your money. So this is what the law wants to forbid. It's forbidding it until the structures have been laid. That when you take that money, deposit it somewhere, so that an interest will come on it. If the tenant fulfills all the promises, then you will give the money at least where you are going to take the money. Interest has been on it because the person has gone for a loan and he is going to pay interest on it. Now I'm moving out. You find fault and then do some deduction. You give me some peanuts without any interest. The structures are not there. That's why the law is forbidding that we should do that. So since it's a condition that landlords attach to their premises, it constitutes an offense.
An offense.
Exactly.
So it is an offense. If somebody has taken anything in the name of security deposit, it is an offense for now. So go back for your thing. Go back for, and now we know how the economy is. So even if it's 1 Ghana cedi, go back for it.
Small money chance.
No. So now they've already extracted that money from me. So what do I need to do?
You can discuss with the landlord and then take that money. But it dawns on you as a tenant that as you came to make the premises, fulfill your part of the promise. And then if you go to the landlord, tell the landlord the money I gave you is illegal, so I need my money. You can go and deposit or invest it somewhere. So that when you are moving out and you see that something has been damaged, you can use it to repair it before me. In that case, you get an interest at where you went and deposit, but don't leave it with the landlord. It's not their responsibility to keep any money apart from the rent that they've collected from you.
So I would want to go to what's the maximum rent, charge in advance and all that. But before I delve into that, we've seen all these inconsistencies and all these illegalities that landlords, should I say the Kwekwanansi mentality with which we are trying to collect monies, the dubious ways. And it's nice when you get a tag to it. Yes, goodwill. Agency fee, security moving fee, security deficit. And when you hear it, then you are like, hey, now we're into it, and then you look like you are lost. Like you are the one who doesn't know that we take all these things. So you are the new person in town, and then you are forced to buy. What as a department is the rent control doing to curb all these things, to get tenants relieved of all these things, how they get educated? Because believe you me, there are lots of people who don't know about this. They just go into it, they hear of some of the things, and because they are desperate, Because if you don't come for it too, somebody else would.
Okay.
Somebody else is willing to pay that few bucks just to get it ahead of you. So what do you do?
Okay.
And what are you doing as a department to help people?
Okay. Okay. So in the first place, before I answer your question, landlords should not think that we are siding on the side of tenants.
Okay.
It's because of the direction of the question. That's why I'm dwelling.
Yes,
but
yes,
the law or the act is there for both landlords and tenants. Okay. But to your question, what we are doing now, that's why on the first we came out with the press conference. Though we were doing our job, but now we've given an alternative to landlords and tenants and all interested persons around the housing industry to do their work well, to make sure they abide by the rules and regulations. After that, just as I said, there's going to be a massive prosecution. Don't sit down there and think we are joking, because when it happens to you, don't say you are not aware. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. But we sometimes use human face in administrating the law. So again, rent control cannot be everywhere at the same time. That's why we are educating people to know their rights and responsibilities, both landlords and tenants, so that if a landlord is infringing on your right, you have the right to voice out, to come to rent control for security. Just in the same way as a landlord, if a tenant is causing nuisance, okay, is using the premises for immoral and illegal purposes, is deteriorating your premises, you cannot sit down. Though the law does not give you the right to forcefully eject that tenant, you have the right to come to the rent control department for us to do our investigation, and then where the law applies, we apply it. So what we are doing is we are still doing our sensitization program. We are still cautioning landlords to do their right thing. We are still advising them to do their right thing. What is interesting is that a lot of landlords, a lot of tenants we've advised, with caution, have not come back. A lot of landlords have started purchasing the rent card, the massive, because they were not aware through the education. Now they are issuing the rent cards, they are issuing the tenancy agreement before they collect money. So the education is going on well, but there are still a lot of people who are still not aware, who are still committing this crime, because they've put all their problems on their facilities. Okay, that's 6 months rent advance. It's a good thing, because we see instances where people have collected more than 6 months, 2 years, 5 years, and then something has happened that the tenant has moved to another location. Now you have to look for somebody who will come and occupy the place for another 5 years. So the illegality still continues, and the refund is becoming a headache. Because if you are dragged into the rent control department, we give you a date to go and look for it. Because you've not got somebody to come and occupy the place, it will put stress on you. In any case, if you go to bank and the bank has given you grant to construct your premises, the bank will not demand 2 years installment. It's a monthly installment that the bank will spread for you. So why they need to collect 2 years?
So much.
So it's a burden. People should stop. It's a benefit to all of us.
So still before we come to the maximum, while you were talking, you brought my mind back on something about the security deficit, where people deficit in case of any spoilage or anything. Here is the case that nothing that is made will last forever. So when we talk about the spoilage and all that, are there, even though it is illegal for now, because there will come a time where it will be utilized, are there certain wear and tears that do not come up in the security deficit? So what things do we look at when we thinking about the security?
So all these things has to be spelled out in the tenancy agreement. But there's some basic things that even the floor will work on, even if it's a tile floor. You know, as you walk in and out, there'll be some fades on it. Those are things that you don't need to consider as a repairable things. If it's the seat for the toilet that the tenant breaks it, or the socket that he has broken, or the lamp holder and all those things that the tenant has broken it, or even the wall that the person is dwelling in, you see that there are dirt or is dirty. Those are the things that we consider, because those are things that the tenant has done to warrant those things. But apart from that, there are certain basic things that, as I will say, wear and tear. The door you open, the inches that is hooking them. You know, as you open and close, it may loose up.
Yeah.
So if the person is just need the carpenter as a landlord, because it's considered as wear and tear. But those other things, like the socket that I've mentioned, if intentionally or unintentionally the tenant has broken them, they have to repair them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Still on security deficit, we come to this fact. People come dwell in a house.
Okay.
I've rented an apartment, and then I realized that the sockets, before I come in, the sockets are not in good
Yeah.
condition. I go into the washroom, maybe there's a leakage, the water closet has a leakage, the bathroom has this and this and that, and then I tell the landlord about it, and he says, don't worry, you can move in. Before you move in, you would have fixed all these things, and then he's giving you 1 week to move in, but he will fix the issues before you come. The day you are to move in, you come and you realize that nothing has been fixed. You have already paid your rent, whatever maximum rent has been charged. You've done that, and you are in, and he comes and then he tells you, oh, don't worry, this weekend we'll fix it for you. I see a lot of questions on that, and some say I've been in for about 3 months, I've been in for a year, and those things have not been fixed. Is it advisable as a tenant to go ahead and fix it, because you can't live in that mess? So is it even painting? And some even do wallpaper, some even go ahead and tile. So is it advisable? Would you advise a tenant to go ahead and do some of these things with their own money?
Okay. You see, as a tenant, if you're going to rent somebody's house, you should take note that the premises doesn't belong to you. So anything you do, you have to sit down with the landlord and then have a written agreement.
Okay.
You have to agree as to, if you finish doing those things, how are you going to get your money? Would your money be paid to you directly, or is going to be added to your rent?
Okay.
So you cannot just wake up as a tenant and do things on your own. Okay, if you do that, you cannot come back and demand money.
Money from
anything you do you should make sure you get receipts from them. Because if it comes to refund, those are the evidence that will be used to get your money back. So if you ask the landlord to fix something for you, and the landlord has promised you and is not fulfilling his promise, come to the rent control department. We will make sure the landlord fulfill his promise. But don't go ahead with your own power as a tenant to go and fix those things. If the landlord has not given you the authority and you do that, that is your own wahala. Okay, you cannot come back and demand any money from the landlord.
So I know that viewers, you have questions. You want to put in your quota here and there. So we're going to open the phone line. So the number is displayed down there. You can call in. When you call in, please remember to move away from the TV set. Please remember to move away. If you call in and you are by it and is giving a feedback, we'll just cut you off. So let's be disciplined, and then let's just do that so that there will be a flow in what we are doing. I want to move on to the grace period.
Yeah.
This issue of grace period.
Yes.
I've heard people say, I'm supposed to be giving a 3-month grace period. Someone is saying, he didn't give me the 3 months grace period. He just told me my rent is up, I shouldn't pay it, I should just move out. We keep hearing of those things. What is the whole law when it comes to grace period?
There is no law about grace period.
There's no law.
We don't have it in our books.
But we
don't have it.
Say 3 months.
It's a perception that tenant has put in their head. Okay, you go into rent a premises.
Okay.
You've come into agreement that you are coming to stay for 2 years. You are coming to stay for a year, but the payment is going to be monthly or 6 months block. You know, getting to the end of your period, if you know your mind has changed, you should go and contact the landlord and tell the landlord whether after the expiration of my tenancy, I will renew it or I'll continue. The landlord has the right to give you that permission that I can extend your tenancy for you. Or because of the tenancy you signed, he has already contracted somebody else to come and occupy the premises. So in that case, it's at the discretion of the landlord. So within that period, within that discussion period, that's where you have to decide whether you move out or you continue. So you cannot wait. till the end of your tenancy that you've all signed. That after that tenancy, the landlord is supposed to give me another period to go and then look for another place. You should be looking for the place whilst you were in the premises.
Okay.
And under Section 31 state that nothing should prevent the landlord from collecting its rent. So if by virtue or by sympathy, out of sympathy, the landlord or through the rent control department has given you some period.
Okay.
Just an example, you know, when we were in the thick of the COVID, the president locked us down.
Yeah.
So let's assume it around that time you have to vacate your premises. Because we've been locked down, you can't go anywhere. So that's where a period will be given to you so that when we are open, then you can go and look for a place. So in that case, a period has been given to you through the landlord or by the rent control department. So at every circumstance, we look at the condition, the situation, and we determine whether a period should be given to you. But in all cases, that period should be within your tenancy. If out of any impedance, any restriction that you cannot move out, then that's where you will be considered. And in any case, any period that you are given, the law states that the landlord must collect his rent. Okay, so this is the idea that tenants should put in their head. If you know you cannot stay the place again, start looking for a place before your tenancy expires. Or you can start discussing with the landlord to continue your tenancy in that premises.
Okay. So with that also, what is a landlord supposed to do? Is he supposed, especially when maybe he cannot give you his facility anymore? Is there maybe a 2-week notice, 1 month notice or something he's supposed to give to the tenant?
Okay. So I keep on mentioning tenancy agreement. Because that is the agreement between the two of us.
Okay.
So it must be there that when it's getting to the end of your tenancy, we will meet and discuss this. So that if it doesn't happen, then the landlord is supposed to give you a notice before your tenancy.
I hear we have we already have a caller. Hello, good morning, Patrick.
Good morning, madam.
Patrick, where are you calling us from?
I'm calling from Takwa.
Takwa. Okay, what's your question? Bacho kasa din kakra mae. Uko high dine. Okay, continue. I don't think I was able to make your line was unstable, so I managed to see the all kind of papa into the bosu bio mine to na mean shedante no o see who hide dining for 7 months. Oh, okay. Uko hide dine for 2 years.
2 years,
Now so say after 2 years, you know.
Now me 7 months.
Uchiano for 7 months. Okay. Utnemu for only 7 months out of the 2 years, you know. Cause so Meteo. What's the problem about dino? Meteo. Okay. Okay. You get it. So in other words, you know why 1 year
11 Yeah.
Yeah, 11,
1 year,
almost
1
a
year.
year. Yeah. No, in other words, no, say why 1 year into on to me now 4 months, no. So rent control, what can we do about this?
No,
What's what they are called rent
correct.
control? Patrick. Okay. Let me say
So what we are saying is that you it was given a new place because where he was staying was not good.
Yeah.
And the law demands that nothing should prevent the landlord from collecting his rent.
Yes.
Okay, if you've agreed to relocate, it's an agreement that you've come in. So I giving you the other premises, you have to pay for it.
Okay.
Okay, so just as he said, it's in the law.
Okay.
It's in the law.
Okay. Unless there are any other peculiarities to that
exactly,
particular issue,
exactly.
you can call back and let us know. We were speaking on the grace period.
Yes.
The grace period issue, which is looking a little funny to me right now because it had seemed all this while that power was in the hand of the tenant when it comes to grace period, especially with the questions they are putting out there. It was some common me 3 months. So it's not 3 months, so and what's coming?
Exactly. It's a perception which they have to take from their mind. There's no free rent in Ghana, and there's no grace period in Ghana.
But then the question is,
yeah.
How would you feel?
How would you feel?
Say, and he said every tenant will do that. I'll pay for only 1 year, then I ask for 3 months,
and then move to another place.
Yes, 3 months.
Pay for 1 year and then move for 3 months.
And then get 3 months. Yes. So okay, now let's look at the maximum rent charge because some people. My mom was looking for a store just at the beginning of this year. Patrick. Mohammed. Okay. Hello, Mohammed. Good morning. Sorry about that.
Robert.
Yes, Mohammed. Good morning.
Good morning, madam.
Yo, Pacho, who free?
I'm speaking English.
Okay, Mohammed. Why
I'm saying that we rent a room apartment.
Okay.
We rented apartment and the toilet is not done. So when we came in to rent the room, we tell the landlord that there's no toilet, so we want to give him the money. We'll do the toilet for us.
Okay.
So we think that we'll give him the money. Up today, when we are even talking about the toilet matter, it's becoming a trouble. He don't even want to listen to us again. It's getting to 1 year now. He's not even minding us about the toilet. But initially, we said that without the toilet, we will not take your room. That when we give him the money, he will look for people that come and do the toilet for us. But up to date, he's not minding us about the toilet. What can we go to do?
Have you reported to the rent control department?
Come again?
Have you reported him to the rent control department?
Mother, it's like some of us, you we don't know about this thing too.
Okay. Well, that's why he's here to feed us with more information. So, Mr. Kwasu, help us with that.
Okay. So, what landlords and tenants should take note is that any grievances that will come in between them and they cannot solve it, the first point of call is the rent control department. So, either Mohammed or Robert who just call, just go to the nearest rent control department because it's the responsibility of the landlord to make sure the toilet facility is provided. Now it's unlawful. It's illegal for you to have a premises without a toilet because all the municipal and the district assemblies is in their bylaws that every household must have a toilet facility. So you can report to the rent control department. We will follow the due process and make sure the toilet facility is provided to you.
Francis, hello. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, madam.
I
want to know the price of the form.
The price of the form. You're a landlord?
Yes, please. Yes, I'm a landlord.
Okay. Is that?
Yes. So the tenancy agreement, you can draft it yourself or see any lawyer to help you. We have samples in our offices. So I don't know where you are calling from. Get to the nearest rent control department. We have a sample where we can explain to you so that you go and then. But the rent card is 5
cedis.
It's
in money, yeah.
Okay. The rent card is 5 cedis. Go to the nearest rent control department as well and then you can purchase and then distribute it to your tenant.
Your tenant.
Yeah.
I hope, Francis, you are okay with that. All right. So let's look at the maximum rent charge.
Okay. So this is also under the offenses. Okay.
Wow.
And then under section 25, subsection 5 of the Rent Act. Okay, it talks about this advance payment. And then with your permission, it say any person who has a condition of grant, renewal or continuance of a tenancy demand in the case of a monthly or short tenancy, the payment in advance of more than a month's rent, or in the case of a tenancy exceeding 6 months, the payment in advance of more than 6 months rent shall be guilty of an offense, and shall upon conviction be liable to a fine not exceeding 10,000 cedis or a term of imprisonment not exceeding 2 years. So what this means is that we have two types of tenancy, short tenancy and long tenancy. Short tenancy is a tenancy that is below 6 months, and long tenancy is a tenancy beyond 6 months, which can be 1 year, 2 years, 5 years in advance. So if it's a short tenancy, the law demands that you collect monthly rent advance. So if it's a short tenancy we've come to, and you collect more than 2 months rent advance from me, you've committed an offense. If it's a long tenancy, and you collect more than 6 months rent advance from me, commit an offense. And you can be fined based on the discretion of the magistrate to a tune of 10,000 cedis, or to a imprisonment of maximum of 2 years, or to both, based on the discretion of the magistrate. So what landlord should take note is that the law says don't demand and don't collect it. So if you've not demanded it, and a tenant comes to your premises, and the tenant feels he has all the monies in the world, so that I want to pay you 2 years advance and you collect it, constitute an offense.
Wow.
Okay. So this is what the law is saying.
Okay.
A maximum, whether being store or being a domestic dwelling, the maximum rent advance you can take according to our laws is 6 months, rent advance. So landlord should take note of.
Is there a distinction here then between a house hunter and then a tenant? Because some landlords say that this is a house hunter. So for a house hunter, he is now coming in. He's not yet my tenant. So I can take the 2 years from him. When he becomes a tenant and we are renewing, that is when he's already a tenant. So I cannot take more than the 6 months. Is there a disparity?
I don't know where that definition
There's
is
someone
coming.
on the line, sorry. Samuel. Hello, Mr. Samuel. Hello, Samuel.
Hello, good morning, madam.
Good morning. Sorry for keeping you on long. Where are you calling us from? Senya Breku. Okay, let us know what your issue is.
I want some question to ask.
Please go ahead.
If a person in my room I write a letter to leave, can I give you another 3 months?
Please come again. If there's someone in your room.
Yes.
So you are the landlord?
Yes.
And your tenant has written a letter to you?
Yes.
What?
To leave the room. So can I give another 3 months?
To use the room, the tenant has written a letter to use the room for another 3 months.
No, I want to leave.
He wants to leave.
Yes.
Is it the end of his tenancy? Has it come to the end of his tenancy?
It come to the end.
It's ended.
2 weeks to end, and he wrote the letter to leave. My page inside the room about 3 months ago.
Okay, let me see. Do you get what is okay? All right. So, Mr. Posu will answer you.
Okay. So Samuel, what is happening is that, just as we said, getting to the end of the tenancy is right for the two of you to meet, so that whatever is in the head of the tenant, he will disclose it. What you have, you also have in mind, you have to disclose it. Now the tenant has come to you that he knows his time has reached, but he's begging you for you to give him extra 3 months.
3 months.
It's at your own discretion. If you've not contracted anybody else to come and occupy the place, after all, when he moves out, you still get somebody to come. So if he has written to you that you should give him extra months for him to continue searching for a place, and you agree with him, just as I said, it's payable. You have to collect the money, but it's at your own discretion. Okay.
Someone, I hope you're satisfied with that. Okay. All right. So, okay. So, making the disparity between the house hunter and the tenants there. What does the law?
We don't have this definition of house hunter.
Okay.
What we have is prospective tenants.
Okay.
They are prospecting. They are looking for accommodation. So you cannot call yourself as a landlord if you not collected any money from somebody in return of giving your premises for the person to occupy the place for a period of time. And you cannot call yourself a tenant if you're not giving money to somebody that I want to occupy your premises for a period of time. Anybody who pays you money with the intention of occupying your premises cannot be called a house hunter. It's now a tenant because he has paid you money to occupy your place. So that definition of house hunter, we don't have.
It means you're just trying to find your way around.
Exactly.
Thank you very much. I know there are more and more questions. Even I haven't exhausted my questions, but unfortunately, that is what time. We can't hold time on a leash.
Oh, I'm enjoying the program.
That is usually how it goes. When you are enjoying, then time comes in and proves that it has power over your program. So what we're going to do is that we're going to try and then reschedule for another time, and then we'll get more of your questions as well, so you also have adequate time to prepare some of your questions, and then when Mr. Kwasu comes again, we will put your questions across. But I have taken very good points from today's discussion. Remember, as a tenant, to protect yourself, remember that once you pay the money, you have become a tenant.
Exactly.
And so the laws apply. One, before you pay the money, demand for the tenancy agreement. Don't just take it. And just the program we had before this one just said that Ghanaians don't like to read. That if you want to hide something from a Ghanaian, put it in a book. When you collect that agreement, please read. If it is in English and you don't do English very well, get somebody who is good, well versed in the English language to read and interpret for you the conditions, the clauses that are in there. Get it right, and then insist on receipts for any payment made. Insist on receipts, no matter how small or what they call insignificant. So I changed the socket and it was just 10 Ghana cedis. Collect receipts that you have to prove your case with. It's evidence. So collect receipts, and after you have paid 7 days, you have to collect your rent card, pink in color. Landlords is going for 5 series, and you also have to go report to the tenant rent control department. Landlords, you have to go there to make your reports, present your tenancy agreement, what do you call it, a form or whatever it is, to the rent control department. Make sure you are always standing in the right, so that the law does not grab you when it comes. Remember, 31st December. 31st December is just around the corner. When we started, who thought 1st October would come? It's just around the corner. And landlords, you have to pay the rent tax immediately you receive monies from your tenant. Make sure you go in and then you pay. It's 8% for residential apartments or whatever, and 15% for the commercials. Just do these. They look like small things and you can ignore them, but when the law comes to play on you, ignorance will be, and then all the excuses they give, it will not hold water then and there. So that is how we wrap up. I hope you have learned a thing or two. I certainly have. And that is how I wrap up on the AM show. We say thank you to Jonathan, who did the news for us, the newspaper headlines. I had Isaac Otu to help, and also he did the talk with the World Reading Day, and then today, right now, this segment with Mr. Emmanuel Hovey Posu, the head of public relations for Rent Control Department. Thank you very much for staying tuned, and thank you very much also for all our guests who came in. This is how we say bye-bye on AM Ghana. Be good. Be good. And remember, life is worth living. You have so much to live for. So be good, love, and worship. Thank you. Bye-bye.